If you ever wanted to play Wolverine in D&D, this might be the build for you. Today we're going to take a look at a Barbarian Monk who, of course, can rage, but I'm also going to show you how you can regenerate here on Rolling with Advantage. Today we're going to be looking at making Wolverine. There's a couple things we have to do. We have to be able to rage, we have to be able to regenerate, and I want to find a way to use claws. Now those are the three things that we need in my mind to make a true Wolverine build. If we can get those things, then I think we've done pretty good with our theme. So the first thing, rage, that's easy enough, but it's the regeneration that's going to take us a minute to kind of figure out how we're going to do it. And in order to do that, then we have to look at race options. The race that we have to be is a dwarf. Now we can either be a hill dwarf or a mountain dwarf. Mountain dwarf, since we're going to start as a barbarian, may statistically be the best one. It's going to give us +2 to strength, +2 to constitution, which is perfect for barbarian. But the hill dwarf gives us something that I'm very interested in the fact that it still gives us 2 to constitution, but it gives us +1 to wisdom, and we are going to be multiclassing into monk later, and we will need some wisdom. But it's the dwarven toughness that really draws me into being a hill dwarf because it gives us extra hit points. Now, every time we start, we get a point, and every time we level, we get an additional point. Now, if we're going to be raging as a barbarian, you almost effectively double how much health you have because of the damage reduction. So you get a lot more mileage for dwarven toughness than you would normally. That's why for this build, I think we should be a hill dwarf. Plus, if we're going to be making Wolverine, the lore there really says that, he's short and stocky, and I think a dwarf is a perfect idea for this. So for class, level 1, we're going to go with Barbarian. For skills, we're going to take Perception and Survival. We will have a soldier background. That'll kind of help us flesh out our skills. And then for stats, what I did using point buy is we went 14 across the board into Strength, Dex, and Constitution. And then we put a 13 in Wisdom, and we had an extra point. I just threw it in Charisma. Now, you could play with these points however you want, or if you're rolling, it can be totally different. But the key part here is that with this, we're going to get a 16 in Constitution because of being a dwarf, a hill dwarf, and we're going to get a 14 in Wisdom. So 2 14s, a 16, and another 14. Those are good stats for all the stats that we need for this build because we really need 4 of our 6 stats to have some numbers in them really to make this effective. So this is where we're going to have to be. This build is very stat dependent. So this is what we look like. I told you we took the soldier background. That gives us athletics and intimidation, which our charisma is not great, but it is there if we need it, and I think it kind of fits the build, the mold of what we're trying to do. And then, for equipment, standard fare for a barbarian. So at level 1, we have 16 hit points and 15 armor class. That is a lot of health at level 1. I mean, most of your characters out there are going to be between 8, 10, maybe 12 hit points. We're coming in at 16. I mean, that's almost like a level 2 health pool. And with raging, I mean, at level 1, you've basically got 30 some odd hit points to beat through after you're raging. That is a very stout level 1 character. So it'd be a lot of fun. But it's really at level 2 that we are going to go ahead and start making this the build for Wolverine. And we're going to take a level in Monk. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that your second level is pretty lackluster. Outside of just getting some extra hit points for being a monk, the only thing that we really pick up is martial arts, which is going to allow us to do unarmed combat. Now, it's not great at this point. We're still probably going to be using our great axe, or maybe we're dual wielding hand axes. But this is pretty much all we're getting at second level. But when we take the third level, which is going to be first level barbarian, second level in monk, so a level 3 character is when we start really taking off because we get our key. What this is going to allow us to do is once we use our key points, we can flurry of blows, which we can do after we attack with our hand axes or after we attack with our great axe, which I think would be really the way to do it. But we also can use a key point to take the dodge action as a bonus action. So imagine at level 3, first round we charge in, we rage with our bonus action attack with our axe. Next action, we've taken some damage. Next round, and then I can key point dodge and also attack with my axe. So now not only am I raging, but they're getting disadvantage on attacking me because I took the dodge action. That is extremely tanky at level 3. and your DM will be quite annoyed. So, but it's at the third level of Monk that this build really takes off. So I will say you're really, in my mind, start feeling like Wolverine as a fourth level character. And that's because our tradition, we're going to take a Way of the Long Death. And what this is going to allow us to do is we start getting that regeneration, that Wolverine regeneration. And every time we drop somebody with our great axe or hand axes or whatever, anytime we drop somebody, we're going to heal temporary hit points, so wisdom plus your monk level. So at this point, we've got 3 in monk plus our wisdom modifier of 2. So every time we drop somebody, we're getting 5 temporary hit points. That's crazy good because you also think that if you're raging, you're effectively taking half damage. So that's really not 5 temporary hit points. That could be 10 temporary hit points. And that can make this character very hard to bring down, especially if you're also doing key point dodges and stuff like that. So this guy is very tanky at level 4. Now, at a 5th level character, we're taking another point into being a monk. So 1 in Barbarian and 4 into Monk. Now, this is where we really go off on the build. And this is really the idea I wanted to build the whole thing around, why we have to be a dwarf, is that we want to take Dwarven Fortitude. Now, Dwarven Fortitude gives us 1 point in Constitution. That's going to give us a 17. I know it's an odd number. I hate odd numbers too. Maybe we could play around with our points earlier, but this is I kind of figured this is the best way to do it. But what we really are getting off of this is whenever we take the dodge action in combat, we can spend 1 hit die to heal ourselves and then add our Constitution modifier. So think of it this way. I can run in, I can hit with my axe, I use my key point for patient defense to take the dodge action, and then I can heal off of that. So at level 5, I'm going to have 5 hit dice. We'll have 1 d12 for being a barbarian and another 4 d8s for being a monk. So, with our key points, we're going to be regenerating like crazy between Touch of Death for being a monk, getting the temporary hit points. We're going to get healing off of this. This character is going to be extremely hard to bring down. So at 5th level, I feel like this is when the character really goes off. And then, of course, we're going to go ahead and take the next level in Monk, and this is going to give us our extra attack and stunning attack. So let's just take a look at what this character looks like. Now, this is no magic items. This is just bare bones. You're looking at 61 hit points, which is a lot for level 6. Now, your people that are straight barbarians, they'll have more health than you, but this is you're keeping up with your constitution, and for being a hill dwarf, you're getting a lot of bonuses. So good health pool. We're healing like crazy. Still a decent armor class. I'm hoping at this point we've picked up, some magic items, cloak of protection or something to help buff this up. But this is where we are now. We're still attacking with our great axe. Now, if you want to go full Wolverine, what I would say is, talk to your DM. We do have smith tools. Maybe you can find a tinkerer and make, some claws, some retractable claws. I would statistically, if I'm the DM, say that they are statistically the same as hand axes, but they're flavored to what it is you're trying to do. If you just want to go full Wolverine, get your claws. You're regenerating and you're raging. This to me is straight up D&D Wolverine. You notice for the picture I took the old dwarf because I like old man Logan. So I kind of see this as like an old man, survivor of some horrible military catastrophe, and now he's just kind of gone crazy, which kind of gives us the rage. And the Way of the Long Death is that he's been around a lot of death. He kind of like, I see like he kind of goes into a frenzy, and that's where he gets his temporary hit points. I kind of feel all of this thematically kind of makes us Dwarven Wolverine. So that's where I would go. Most games that I see, level 4 to level 7, level 8, that's kind of the sweet spot for most campaigns. So that's where I kind of want to build all my characters. I hate builds where it's like, well, at level 10, it's online. No. I want to be online earlier than that, and I think this build really takes off at level 3. Level 4 it starts really, really getting into the core of it once we get our regeneration, and then level 5, level 6, and there we're really kind of going off on it. So I think this is fun. Now, if you're going to level from here, I would then go into Barbarian. So after I took 5 levels, let's say that we're going high level campaign, I would leave Monk for a while and I would go and pick up Barbarians and give us a lot more health with the D12s, which means we're going to be healing more with our key points. And For Primal Path, I know you could go Berserker and you're like, hey, Rage, Berserking Rage, but I really feel the Totem Warrior, because he does have this animalistic thing to him, and you've got a couple of options. You could go with Tiger. That's interesting because this is going to make you jump further and higher, and you can kind of do your own fastball special, which that could be kind of fun. You could go Wolf. This allows you to kind of, while you're raging, your friends have advantage on melee attacks against anyone close to you, so you're kind of like the pack leader. That could be fun, and then thematically, I think there's a lot to do with the Wolf and Wolverine and everything. But Bear, it's really hard to get away from Bear. Bear Totem is going to allow us to get the ability to take half damage from anything that's not psychic damage, which kind of fits Wolverine. You know, the whole memory loss thing, maybe psychic, he's weak to that, but everything else, he can take resistance to. So I would go Bear. And then for your ability score improvements from here on out, I would just keep pumping your strength, because we want to pump out as much damage as possible, so maybe keep going with that. Aspect of the Beast, we do get to have another magical benefit down the road. I would probably just keep going with Bear. Just gives you more carrying capacity. We could go with Tiger, which gives you a couple of extra skills if you want to go that way. This is really up to you. You can be track better as a wolf. That might make more Wolverine. We'll pick with that. And but the thing that we're going to level 9 for is brutal critical, because we're going to be attacking so much with this. Let's just say traditionalist, you're attacking with your great axe. We're going to have multi attack for being having the 5th level and fighter or monk and whatever. So we're attacking twice, and then we go off flurry of blows and we get 2 more hand axe. So now we have 4 attacks that we're going to go with. Well, with 4 attacks, you're going to be looking for a lot of crits. Maybe you have advantage on. Maybe you're flanking this guy. Now you've got 4 attacks. That's going to be 8 rolls if you've got advantage on those attacks. The chances of getting criticals are pretty high. So I think brutal critical is absolutely what you want to go to. And then from there, I would probably take the rest of your levels in monk. So this is where I would go. I would keep pumping up strength. And this also gets you all the way up to a mastery of death. When you are reduced to 0 hit points, you can spend a key point to have 1 hit point instead. So this is kind of, we'll call it the capstone of the build. You know, Wolverine goes down. He looks dead, but he's not. He's still in the fight. He's so resilient. So this is the way that I would build it. If you're going to go all the way to 20, just so we can kind of take a look at what it looks like, we would go 9 Barbarian, 11 Monk. That gives us the brutal critical. It gives us the ability to get back up with the Way of the Long Death, the cheating death, if you will. And this is what this character looks like. A lot of health, a lot of healing, dealing good damage, just a solid, fun character to play all the way around. And we could tweak this as we wanted. You know, when I make these, I'm assuming 0 magical artifacts or items or anything. But like if you get an item that gives you like a bunch of strength, well then maybe you don't put your ASIs into strength. Maybe put it into constitution, or maybe put it into dex, or you know, something to make your health higher, something of that nature. So it just kind of depends on what you get. But I always build no magic items, so we can kind of see what the core of the build look like. So if you have played something like this, I'm very curious to see what your feedback is. I've seen a lot of other Wolverine builds out there, but me personally, I like Barbarian Monk. This is the way I would do it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's very thematic. I would love any feedback, any ideas that you have to kind of make this more and more like Wolverine. It'd be kind of cool. So please leave some comments below if you have any questions or comments. Also, if you have not yet, please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, keep rolling with advantage.